This is KIC Radio.
Hello guys, and welcome back to episode 8 of the Southbank podcast. It's not going to be a very joyful one today. I'm here joined again by Cameron and Jacob. Lads, what is going on? What is happening at Wolverhampton Wanderers? Cameron, I'll start with you because your face doesn't look that much appetising, but what is going on with Wolves?
Honestly, Sami, I hate to be here reliving it with you all this week. I wouldn't blame anyone who doesn't want to relive it because I struggled to watch it as it was happening. Me and Jacob made the travel to Everton Park, sorry. And my God, I just, Everton Park's the local one. But no, I wish I'd have been in the park and not watching the football. Would have been nice to be amongst the greenery instead of watching 4 put past Wolves on a Wednesday night. So a lot of defensive errors, as we're accustomed to saying. Lots of questionable things that we'll get into later by specific players, but there's really no positives. I don't even recall us having a shot on target except for that first Cunha effort in the opening minutes, and it was really just a dismal performance from us.
Jacob, what about you, bro?
Well, I'm happy that the game was all pushing a week ago now, because had this have been as fresh in my mind as they usually are when we do the podcast, I don't think this podcast would even be getting. We're pretty out of Goodison. A lot of us travelling Wolves fans.
I agree. But of course, so it was not a good performance. 4-0 at Goodison Park. It's not really what we like to see as Wolves fans. I want to talk about, obviously, a couple of standouts of the game. That first ever goal conceded by Wolves, when Totti Gomez committed a challenge in the box. Do you guys think it was a fair challenge?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Like, not fair challenge, as in, like, it should have been the decision it was, I think. I don't think we have anyone but ourselves to blame for our errors this week. Well, last week, rather, but I just don't see how the players aren't looking at themselves.
I've just clocked what I've done.
Yeah, you're on about a long game.
I've gone on about the Bournemouth game.
I was saying Totti didn't even play. I didn't think that.
It's been a long weekend. Obviously, first goal.
Should we just go? I mean,
Ashley Young. There we go. Let's talk about that one. Not about Bournemouth.
Should we just go from the start, Loki?
Yeah, go from the start. Ashley Young, free kick.
Just want to cut that bit out, but yeah, go. About the Ashley Young. Right. Just speak about the Ashley Young free kick again.
Yeah, say getting into it first.
So that's from.
Okay, so obviously that first goal conceded by an unquestionable free kick by Ashley Young. What you guys thoughts about the ball that was supposedly broken into? Jacob, actually, I'll start with you.
Yeah, the wall was shocking. Massive gap in there, but I think the wall is poor, but I still do point a lot of fingers at Jose Sarr. I think he should be getting to that. Definitely. I think the first 2 goals he was very, very poor for. But even if we're not saying he should have got to it, who's responsible for organising that wall? It is still Jose Sarr. So I thought it was very poor. Some idiot next to me goes, "Oh, it's Ashley Young. He's not going to score this free kick." That idiot was not Cam, you may believe. But no, a different idiot goes, "Ashley Young, he's not going to score a free kick." And then we see the ball nestle in the bottom corner. And that was the worst. That was the worst thing that happened from 20 minutes before, when I realised they only saw Carlin in the away end. But yeah, really, really poor start. And at that point, I only wanted to go home.
Cameron, what about you, bro?
Well, I have to echo Jacob's thoughts, mate. Unfortunately, the Carling wasn't the worst thing there, and it wasn't that the stadium was also leaking and looked like it was falling apart. The plaster was coming off the walls in the concourse. You really do see why they're moving to a new stadium. And as nice as the trip was, in a historical sense, it was abysmal in terms of the football displayed. The wall obviously left a huge gaping hole in it, but like James said, that's up to Jose Sarr to organise himself. And Ashley Young was able to get a free goal essentially, which is what many a player seem to be saying when they come to play against Wolves. We seem to give out a lot of free goals. Kluivert last week getting a free hat trick. We are just the banter team of the league, I hate to say it. And we can see for fun, we're on track to concede 98 goals this season as it currently stands. The worst defence in the league by far. And when we come against a player again in the West Ham game, Bowen, who has an excellent scoring record against us, it doesn't make me any more hopeful for this week either.
Yeah, so I have to agree. I'd have to echo what you guys have said. Obviously, the wall was broken into. It's Jose Sarr's job to obviously organise it more correctly. It just didn't work our way. I know, obviously, we'll go over to next topic of which was the second goal, in fact, by Mangala. You can't complain at that. It was just a strike, and obviously
Well,
the defense. Well, the defense was shocking to say the least. But yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on the strike from Mangala?
I think you 100% can complain because I think it's another set piece that we failed to defend. You know, all 4 goals coming from set pieces. As I said on the podcast last week, we had the Everton fan on. You'll beat us from set pieces, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, we're saying second goal. I haven't even brought myself to watch the highlights back, but for me, it should have been the third goal. I, I'm unaware as to what their second goal got ruled out for, the header, which was again another set piece. But I mean, Mangala, it's a great strike, but we had 3 opportunities, I remember, to get rid of that ball. And it falls to Mangala, who I didn't even know played for Everton until about 20 minutes before the game started. Where did he even come from? And he went and scored. And at that point, there was just no coming back. We looked awful. We couldn't string the pass together. We couldn't defend. It was just absolutely abysmal, and we knew it was going to be a long evening from that point onwards.
Cameron, yourself?
I have to agree with Jacob. I mean, we really just looked like we were going to go on and concede 8, 7, 9, whatever number you want. We probably could have conceded it. I hate to say it, Everton didn't play that well themselves. And while I might sound bitter saying that, we just really made them look that good. To echo the thoughts on the VAR, I really also don't see what it was disallowed for. Tarkowski's goal should have stood, in my opinion, and I don't think Lamina was really impeded in marking his man, and I really struggled to see why it was disallowed. I also think Jose Sarr should have done better trying to stop that. I think he could have got down a bit sooner, although it's easy to criticise the keeper when the defence are so horrific themselves. That Mangala goal, we had several instances where the team could have cleared the ball, got it out. Instead, they're faffing around the box trying to play out when Everton simply weren't going to let us do that. Set pieces have been our undoing time and time again this season. And as we all said last week, Sean Dyche is a man who really makes the most of set pieces with his big burly teams, but it's just exactly as we predicted, and it's really disheartening to say that because you really hope to see a bit of fight, a bit of change, a tactical tweak from the manager maybe that makes you think, oh, we could have a chance coming through there, but there was none of that. And the players didn't look like they want to play for the manager. The team didn't look tactically adequate. It looked like they hadn't prepared at all. And I was just really disappointed from that point onwards.
Can I just add something about the VAR? Sorry, Sammy, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's all right.
But about the VAR, like, I saw a lot of Everton fans saying, we got the decision in the end, which I don't agree with, but we've just had a goal disallowed and we're still booing VAR. That's how boring it's making our game. And I'm really at a point now where, the Premier League is getting boring. It's really, to slow the game down to that extent. It was almost like, I'll just give the goal at this point. Like, whoever decided to put the VAR thing in front of the away end at Goodison Park was so really weird. Really, really weird. But yeah, I mean, they had another goal out in the second half, didn't they, off VAR as well? And I know I know it's like one of them things where, we complain when it goes against us. Now we complain when it goes for us. But I can't stand it anymore. It was 3 or 4 minutes it took to check both goals, and it made what was already a very depressing day just drag on even longer. I felt like I was at the stadium for 3 hours, as opposed to the 2 hours when the game was actually being played.
Yeah, obviously I've got to agree with what you guys said. Just echoing what you said, Cam, about Everton not didn't play their best. Do you agree that they deserve to have won?
Oh yeah, I completely deserve they agreed to win by that scoreline. I think they should have won by a lot more, in honesty. But I still don't think that means they played very well. I think we really made them look good. Our defence essentially opened up, created the pockets of space just where they wanted them. We made Dwight McNeil look like the second coming of Ronaldinho, and Calvert-Lewin, he's unlucky not to be on the score sheet at all. Both of his goals ending up as Dawson own goals. But at the stadium at the time, we didn't know that. Everton fans at the end of kickoff, they were all saying to us, the away fans, like, not only was our support the best they've seen all season, but they were highlighting that they also don't think they played very well. They also don't think that they were the best team in an attacking sense. And that's really worrying. A team that hadn't scored in 4 games until they play us, and we give them a goal for each of the games they missed a goal in, essentially. I think it's just really embarrassing from us.
Yeah, of course, I have to agree. And now we're going to go into individual performances. One man that you've already stated is yourself, Cameron. Craig Dawson, 2 own goals from the man, from Ballon Dawson himself. What is going on with this Wolves defence, and what is happening to Craig Dawson's performance recently? Jacob, I'll start off with you, pal. What do you think is going on in Dawson's mind?
I mean, yeah, before I get on to this, I want to just elaborate on what Cam said. Yeah, as we're walking out the stadium, we're having Everton fans come up to us and tell us we deserve better as a fan base. Echoing that we are the best support they'd had there all season, and I think as a rare positive, we've just sold out West Ham away on a Monday night tonight as well, a game that's on Sky when we're dreadful. We've sold out Leicester away, well, 3 days before Christmas. We as fans do deserve better than what's being shown at the minute, and that's where the frustrations come from. I assume we'll get on to Gary O'Neill later in the podcast, so I'm going to save my thoughts on him. Particularly something he did at the end of the match, which pretty much infuriated me. But yeah, Craig Dawson, you've got to feel for the lad, don't you? That 300 appearances tweet, it's kind of gone down as a bit of a football meme heritage now. Everton's second top goal scorer now, and he plays for Wolverhampton Wanderers. But yeah, for me, it's a player that's going to rush back. We know Craig Dawson. We know how composed he usually is, how solid he usually is. This isn't a fully fit Craig Dawson. He's been asked to conduct 2 other defenders on Wednesday as well. One of which isn't even a centre back. You've got Lamina still at centre back for whatever reason, and Santiago Bueno, who's also we're led to believe unfit at the moment. Why Totti Gomez didn't start particularly over Mario Lamina was beyond me. I don't think Totti had a particularly great game against Bournemouth, but neither did Lamina. And if you're going to stick with one, stick with your natural centre back. So yeah, individual performances as well. I thought, unironically, the one we were worried about, Matt Doherty, was actually our best player on the pitch. Not that it's a very high bar, but actually got forward, putting a great ball to Strand Larsen at only 1-0, where if he turns that in, Strand Larsen, I think it's a difficult chance, but he turns that in, I think we're talking about a completely different game. So my positive standout would be Matt Doherty. My negative standouts, Lamina. Oh my days, Mario Lamina. What is happening to that man? I understand you're playing out of position, but that's not an excuse for not being able to play 2-yard passes. Another positive, I suppose, Andre first half, I thought was one of our only decent players. But negatives, I thought Ryan Aït-Nouri was really poor again. I thought did try and get forward a bit more in the second half, but really, really sloppy. Got taken on far too many times down that left-hand side, leaving us very exposed as well. But I could highlight the whole entire team more or less in terms of negatives. from Wednesday, it was absolutely abysmal.
Cameron, and yourself?
Well, I wanted to echo about Andre. I think he put in a really great performance. He had quite a lot of recoveries, and on the stats front, he was our best defender on the pitch from centre mid, which speaks volumes, really. Um, as Jacob said about Lamina, why is this experiment still going on? It just doesn't work. I understand Gary O'Neill wants to start his captain, wants to have that supposed leader who doesn't seem to be doing a lot of leading on the pitch. I hate to say it. You talk about leading by example, and he's been dreadful the past few games. I really don't understand how he's still on the team sheet. I think all centre halves are not fit, in honesty, and they're being rushed back because Gary O'Neill's out of options defensively. Santiago Bueno playing on the wrong side of the pitch to his preferred one, when we have Totti sitting on the bench who could have been playing on that left-hand side. Dawson shouldn't be getting rushed back. He's not fully match sharp. He's been out. A mistake last week, and then to follow it up with two this week on his 300th Premier League appearance. That is absolutely abysmal, really. I seem to be saying that word a lot. It doesn't seem to get much better than that. There was no real bright sparks. There was no real hopefuls. It was really just a lackluster performance. And I think tactically, Gary needs to take a long, hard look in the mirror. But I'll save my choice of words for that later.
Yes, well, speaking of them choice of words, I was just going to get onto that. About Gary O'Neill. Against the at the end, well, the full-time whistle. Obviously, there was some chants going around at Goodison Park. Obviously, you guys were there to witness it as well. Do you think this is now Gary's time coming to an end? I'll start off with you, Cam. What was actually happening at Goodison Park after that full-time whistle? Obviously, we saw stuff on the media and everything about it, but from fans that actually went to Goodison Park, how was it from your experience?
Well, I'll start things off with a stat. That the past two results, it's the first time Wolves last shipped 4+ goals in 3 consecutive league games since September 1985. So I think that'll explain a little behind the fans' reactions post full time. And let's start a bit before full time, because I think the fans were long done with what they were seeing before that full time whistle. We spent all of the second half singing chants of old, like Nuno's had a dream. We're going to Gdansk. Barry Douglas, even. We were going very far back, going all the way to our League One chants. And if I'm not mistaken, before it was like a all-star Wolves choir, essentially, that away end, rather than supporting the team on their pitch, because the quality of football on display was awful. And that man, Gary O'Neill, he has a lot of questions to answer, because at full time, the players understandably came straight to the away fans, sold out away and singing 4-0 down all game till the final whistle. They are clapping, Cunha apologising, and Gary O'Neill walks over and tells them all to go back inside. Doesn't acknowledge the fans. And the word the fans were choosing to chant about Gary, I cannot repeat. But alongside that chant, there were chants of Gary, what's the score? Echoed from the Bournemouth game. Gary, you don't know what you're doing. We want our club back. Fosun out. And I think it really, really paints the picture for you, to be honest. You don't need to be a genius to realise what's going wrong at this club. And it starts from the top and then goes down. I feel sorry for a lot of these players. I feel sorry for the fans, because we're the ones who have to bear the brunt of this unfathomable ownership who just don't have a clue what they're doing. And I'll just say I agree with what the away end were saying, but I think that's the most polite way I can put it.
Of course. Jacob, yourself as another visitor at Goodison Park, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I really enjoyed getting involved in the greatest hits of Wolverhampton Wanderers. That was probably the best part of the game, actually. Even Carl Henry getting a chant. But yeah, Gary O'Neill completely disgracing himself at the end. It kind of infuriates me. You've got Tommy Doyle, who only played 20 minutes when we were 4-0 down. Even he has the backbone to come over with Cunha and apologise. We saw Andre very emotional, actually apologising when he was one of our better players. But then for Gary O'Neill, not to only just walk down the tunnel, which would have been disrespectful itself, but physically make an effort to come over and tell the players to stop apologising. It's really just a disservice to the fans who made that, trip from mostly Wolverhampton to Everton, on a midweek game where we've lost 4-0. And it's not just this game in isolation. It's been, every game bar 2 or 3 this season. The only ones that have been worth the fans' money has been Fulham, Southampton, and Brighton. But yeah, if I think whatever percentage of the Wolves fan base that did still want Gary O'Neill, however small that would have been, I think probably that was the light switch moment where they would have switched to the side where we seem to be on, which is Gary O'Neill cannot stay at this football club any longer.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I'd have to agree with what you said, Jacob. Obviously, we're not going to talk. Well, we've obviously summed up the Everton game. Now I'm going to talk about tonight's preview against West Ham. Is Al Sakiko going to be working in our favour, or is this going to be Lopetegui out? What are you guys' thoughts for tonight? Cameron, I'll start with you, bro.
Honestly, I always want us to win, but part of me hopes we don't. I'm happy either way tonight, which is weird to say given our position in the table, weird to say given how we could end up very adrift, but if we win, good. That gets us a step closer to being out of the relegation zone. But if we lose, good. Because hopefully that means Gary O'Neill is told to leave his job. But I'm not that happy about that either, because if you've seen the news this week, you'll know about some of the potential replacements we've sounded out to replace Gary O'Neill. And one of those makes my blood boil quite a bit. Carlos Corberán. Why? Why is not only ex-Albion manager, forget that if that was the case, why is the current West Bromwich Albion manager in the discussion for who takes the Wolves hot seat? That can't be allowed to happen, surely. Is Jeff using his head? Is he thinking correctly? Ex-Albion players is one thing in Dawson and Johnstone. Their current manager, that is a disgrace. There'll be riots across the Black Country and in Birmingham from the Tesco lovers at the Hawthorns. But I think I'm not going to say what I think. I'm just going to say 3-1 West Ham, and I think Dawson own goal and a full crew goal.
Jacob, and yourself, what are your thoughts tonight for Al Sakiko?
I mean, I want to touch on the Corberán thing first. If that happens, honestly, my season ticket might be found in a lake or somewhere similar to that. It would be the stupidest thing I think a football club's ever done. I mean, an already toxic atmosphere, at this football club. He would be eaten alive without even playing one football match if we were to get him in. Bring him into a toxic atmosphere. Unless he was to miraculously win his first 5 games 5-0, he might slightly get away with it. But he's not even doing a good job there. They draw every week.
No,
shocking. I'd rather watch paint dry than watch them play football. I mean, I watched them against Sunderland on telly. They're one of the worst footballing sides I've ever seen in my life. I'm not just saying it because I don't like them. No, honestly, I don't think they had an attack in that football match. They got a good result yesterday, but he isn't even doing well there. Like, to get him from them lot down the road as well, it's like Jeff Shee's he's on Anton Deck's Saturday Night Takeaway, and they're just in his ear telling him what to do. Like, now go and appoint Carlos Corberán. But yeah, we'll look to tonight, and I've said off podcast I want us to win tonight. We need to win tonight. You know, we're 4 points adrift already. As much as I want Gary Neal out, in an ideal world for me, we win tonight and Gary Neal gets sacked. I know that won't happen, but he should have gone midweek. This should be. I don't know. This could be an interim manager for all I care tonight. Gary Neal should not be in the touchline tonight, but he is. I hope we win. But as I posted a preview earlier, I also said we've only beaten West Ham once in our last 5 competitive fixtures with them. They usually do us over. Got a result against them in pre-season, but as we've proved this season, pre-season means nothing because pre-season had us thinking we were going to win the league. But you know, for me, I mean, big miss for them, Mikel Antonio. Obviously, thoughts and prayers are with him. Very sad news. What happened? He seems to be okay. He seems to be okay, thankfully, but they will be without him. Obviously, that lovely man Lopetegui also seems to be falling apart for him, as it's been dubbed El Sacico, like you said, Sammy. I think that sums it up perfectly. Well, at least for them it does, because their owners actually probably do have the balls to sack the manager. I could see a world where we lose tonight and Gary Neal is still in for that Ipswich match on Saturday, which is the most frustrating part. Allegedly a bust-up between Lopetegui and Todibo last game. I don't know if either of you heard about that. Allegedly a half-time little bit of a ding-dong between the French defender and the Spanish manager. But yeah, if I'm going to put a prediction on it, I think Cam's right, 2 or 3-1 West Ham. I see Jared Bowen and Kudus tearing us a new one. Paqueta likes a goal against us, usually plays terrible and comes up with a goal.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about Cunha having 3 goal a month contributions. I think there's been a goal a month contribution against Wolves every month of the season so far. Because it's almost like players think, oh, I'm playing Wolves, let me shoot from 35 yards. The defenders will walk out the way and the goalkeeper doesn't have arms.
They
So
also don't close down these
Yeah.
shots. They have the opportunity to take on the edge of the box. Just
So-
sorry to interrupt, Jacob, but
No, it's
I've
perfect.
seen the Opta match prediction supercomputer, 53.5% on West Ham to win tonight, and 22.7% chance of us getting a win. I think that sums part of it up, to be honest. Another stat I also saw is Jose Sarr last year, he was the best at preventing expected goals. This season, he's conceded 5 more than expected. Food for thought.
I mean, that just speaks to his confidence at the moment, doesn't it? I think this Sam Johnson thing, which, I mean, there's been reports now that he's already had a falling out with Gary O'Neill, and that's why he is no longer, been pushing Jose Sarr. I think, I don't know. I mean, we have a Wolves podcast now, and Wolves is probably my least favourite thing to talk about these days. I think we've kind of, I don't know about you lads, but there's been this kind of like dampened mood on the whole week since Everton for me. I mean, I don't want to sound over dramatic, but like it's almost had this little sour like taste where, we do a football course and I don't want to be talking about football at the minute. So
When football's the biggest factor in our livelihoods, it's unavoidable to talk about, but doesn't necessarily mean we want to. Whereas when the football affects us this much, the fans, it makes me wonder, is Jeff Sheep walking around skipping and humming and seeing butterflies and rainbows? Because how can they not see what we do on the pitch? I'd much rather have an owner who doesn't put as much investment into the club, even less than these, as long as they
is that
care.
possible?
Oh, I don't think so, Jacob. But I'd rather have an owner with a good model, like, say, Brentford or Brighton, who Brentford, say, lack money, but they're a much better ran club than us. They're just, they have owners who care, every other team in the league, it feels like. And the way we're headed is only downwards. And when your rumoured replacements are the current manager of your biggest rivals who are a division below, it just feels that's where we're destined to go. And
I mean, I don't know if either of you saw this photo earlier for. Oh, well, you can't really see it now because of the background. For the audio listeners, that is the Steve Bull. The roof of the Steve Bull is almost falling off. Yeah, and that just proves like there's
I'm
no
not
investment to the
surprised.
club. Like that Steve Bull stand is still a shed. Like it hasn't changed for years. You know, we got new bollards in the summer.
Oh
That's
wow.
as much investment as been happening to the club.
Well, Jacob, I wanted to echo at the very start of the season when the season ticket prices were raised so highly, people were left wondering where this money's going. Not only does it look like even more of a stupid decision based on the quality of football we're seeing, but they didn't even paint the stadium. The paint was peeling off Molineux. And over the course of the season, in between home games, they've obviously been working on this, painting the Molineux, giving it a fresh coat of paint, finally. But even that's still not finished. Even that's still going on as we head into the new year. Like, what is this club being used for except money laundering? It feels like we're just part of this. Allegedly, but I wouldn't be surprised. It feels that way when all of our best assets are sold and then none even replaced, let alone having reinvestment there. I just think this club is in a really worrying trajectory at the moment, and I don't see how it's going to change. I've personally already resigned myself to the feeling that we are going down, just so I'm not disappointed if we are, but I really don't see what this club has in store for it other than a season in the Championship.
Well, seems to be going that way for Wolves if things don't start changing. Obviously, it's nice to hear you guys' thoughts, obviously, and your infuriations of what's actually going on at the club. It's not nice. As fans, we're bearing the brunt of it all. I stated earlier, and it's not appetizing, it's not making us happy. It's actually affecting us as well. Like Jacob said earlier, it's just dimmed down our feelings this whole week after that performance on Wednesday against Everton. It's not nice to see. We want our club back. I do want Gary Gardner, but like Jacob said, if there's a chance that we can win tonight and get Gary Gardner, then I'm over the moon. I'll happily take it. But in the world of the Premier League and in the world of football, it's just not going to happen.
What's your prediction for tonight, Sammy, mate? We haven't heard of you.
I'm thinking, I don't actually know. I'm thinking I might have to go with Cams, 3-1 West Ham, Craig Dawson own goal. But yeah, part of me wants to win because I do want to see my club back again in winning ways, but part of me just feels like, what, if we lose, gets Gary Grant, hopefully get someone new in, not Carlos Corberán, because why the hell are we getting our rival's manager to take place of Wolverhampton? Why? I don't get it. It generally is, it's frustrating me so much at this point of what is actually happening with Wolves. It's back in the days, when we was playing Sevilla in the Europa League, and now we're fighting for relegation. What is this? What is happening with Wolves? I don't know. But hopefully after tonight's game, we will hopefully get some answers and then go back to winning ways for Wolves. But yeah, that's about it for the episode 8 of the Southbound podcast. We've kind of overrun it a bit, but I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to us and watching our lovely faces after Wednesday's terrible defeat. Of course, yeah. Hopefully we roll on for tonight's game. Whatever the result is, I'm particularly not really that bothered at this point. I'm pretty sure you guys kind of feel the same as well. But yeah, that's it for episode 8 of the Southbound podcast. I've been your host, Sami Ahmed, joined by Cameron and Jacob. And that's it. I'll see you guys next week in a bit.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching.
Online, on your mobile, and on your smart speaker. You're listening to the voice of a new generation. This is KIC Radio.